listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. You can check us out at Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Look for our mascot, the gorilla with the red headphones, and you will be off to the races. We've got all kind of shows and all kind of interviews. We got the opportunity to sit down with Neil Alderman. He is running for Tyler County judge seat right now as a write-in. So, interestingly enough, I sent a message out to everyone who was running, and you were the one to respond. I think it says a lot for maybe who the people who are on the ballot. You were the first to respond, Mr. I think is it Wesley?
Wesley Whitman, who is running as I think he's I don't think he is the Democrat.
He's a Democrat,
right? And he is the nominee, the Democratic nominee.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, he had responded as well, but it was much after your response, and so we had the opportunity today to sit down. I know I'm running a little bit late, but man, first of all, we don't know each other.
Okay.
I think that's the best part about this interview is that I live a couple of counties over, but it seems like county government in Southeast Texas, and I don't know if we can jump out and just say it's corruption, but it seems like they're synonymous. County government and corruption may kind of go in the same conversations, at least around water coolers throughout the area. But I guess my first question is this: you being I would say a successful business guy. It's rare when business people get in business or get in forms of government and they start using their influence for their own positioning and posturing. At least that's some of what we've seen in Southeast Texas. So I guess my question is, for people out there who see you as a business guy and their experience with county government has been, well, such and such, over in whatever county owns, he owns this company and that company, and now that he got into government, local politics, it seems like it's just kind of feeding him. The beast is feeding him. So I guess my first question would be, you being a businessman, what's the difference between you and maybe the scenario that people are getting used to in Southeast Texas?
Okay, that's a good question. Before I answer that question, I want to go back to what you said at the very beginning about corruption and being synonymous and going hand in hand. I don't necessarily think that there is a tremendous amount of corruption in the sense of people intentionally trying to. I think there's a lot of ignorance. Okay.
More so than corruption.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that there is an ignorance of what can and can't be done, and I think there's also people are wearing these rose-colored glasses and they don't understand the optics of how things look to the people that are paying the bills.
Sure.
So we all live on a budget, right? So it seems to me like the only people that don't live on a budget is your county government. They can always just raise your taxes, right? Raise the base rates.
Okay.
And I think that is terrible. Going in, in segueing into the question you just asked about, and I totally understand where you're coming from. There's people that get into county government that have businesses and they seem to feed one another, right? Mm-hmm. I said from the very beginning, I jumped into this. I am not the Republican nominee. I'm not the Democratic nominee.
Right.
There are people that are screaming because I'm calling myself a lifelong Republican. He can't do that. He's not the nominee. Well, they just haven't been a Republican long enough to understand that's not the way this process works.
Right.
I have been a Republican my entire life. I've been a conservative Republican. As a matter of fact, I am so conservative, I'd probably lean more libertarian if it weren't for the whole isolation thing. Okay. I believe to whom much is given, much is expected, and I do believe we should respect and protect our allies.
Okay.
I think the main reason I got into this race was because I didn't see a way forward for our county with the folks that were running. We have Wes Whitman, who's a Democrat. I love him to death, nice guy. I don't think the Democrats have a prayer. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to end up with a House and Senate that are Republican controlled. I believe it's going to be that bad. They have done such a poor job that they're going to get decimated.
Okay.
Our Republican nominee won by 36 votes in a runoff. He is a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
He is a JP, whatever precinct, but it was a bivocational job. It was not. He's not a full-time it's not a full-time job. He is a good guy, I'm sure. But we need someone that has a little bit more vision. And I've heard nothing. Right. Not one thing. I did not support him because I never heard anything about how do we take Tyler County from where it is now. And it's really, we've done nothing. I moved back here in 2012 to East Texas. I actually lived in Jasper my whole life.
Okay.
But I came back in 2012 after living in South Houston area. I've been back since 2012, and there's been nothing happening.
Yeah.
There's no vision. There's no plan. There is no, we keep talking about our kids have nothing to do. Well, whose fault is that? I sat at a commissioner's court one day and had a commissioner pointing at me and telling me, you people don't want change. We had an opportunity to get a paper mill and it went to Evadale, and we had an opportunity to get chicken plants. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You think that's all we're good for?
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. There is no vision. And as the Bible tells us, for the lack of vision, men and nations perish. And that's exactly what's happening to Tyler County. So I saw no viable way, or no viable candidate that would take this county into the future. Now, how that correlates with my business, let me tell you something. I run an advertising and marketing company and an insurance adjusting firm, and I can tell you right now, I have no idea how that would ever intersect or how that could ever be construed as any sort of quid pro quo. As a matter of fact, I say all the time, I am not for the status quo, and I'm definitely not about quid pro quo. And
well, I hear what you're saying, but on the flip side, there's also, one of the issues in Tyler County and a lot of the counties is a branding issue.
Okay.
And so, there are some people out here, it's easy whenever we're talking about a man who owns a business that is a supplier of dirt or a supplier of rock and hard materials.
Okay.
I guess that would be, to me, that's the only thing that I sit here and think to myself, obviously, you being able to having an advertisement background and this type of thing, people are used to, it feels like this. It feels like people are used to men getting in positions and then working the angles for them and their cronies.
Okay.
And so I guess my question for you is, obviously there is an issue with vision in a lot of these counties throughout Southeast Texas. Tyler County is what we're focusing on right now because that's what you're running for. Having the job and the background you have from a vision creativeness standpoint obviously helps you with that. Helps you with creating a vision or creating a direction maybe that the county can.
So your point would be more along the lines of maybe that would be a benefit to Tyler County.
It could potentially be.
As opposed to me somehow having some sort of a quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. I started working on several things to bring to the area back in May of this year. Before I decided, and I'll tell you the day I decided to do this was August the 11th. And June,
why that day?
That's exactly why I used that, because I was going to tell you. June and July, obviously I told you I was supporting another person. I was supporting a lady by the name of Melissa Riley.
Okay.
And she lost by 36 votes in the runoff. June and July were, and that was I think May 24th or 28th was the election. For the, if I'm not mistaken. for that. If memory serves, June and July were the roughest months of my entire life.
Okay.
And I'd already told everybody, June and July, you're not going to see me. That's the 2 busiest months of my life. And I had 2 family members pass away.
Wow.
My wife's dad and my stepfather, who lived here in Woodville, and had a business there for many, many years. And it was a very sudden thing. And our June and July just rocked us. And just a couple days after we buried Sherry's dad,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking about this place, and I'm like, I got to do something because I just don't see the vision. But that's why it was so late. And I had 2 months. I had 2 months before the election. And I said, there's 3 things I got to do, but I wrapped it up into 2. One was tell everybody I'm doing it and why they should vote for me, right?
Right.
And then 3, educate them on how to write in the candidate's name.
Sure.
So,
Because that's rare.
yeah. And I will be the first write-in candidate to become county judge in Talbot County history.
Okay.
And I really would like somebody to do some research on that and find out how many times it's been done. Period.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it being done, and I know it's tough. But with a marketing and advertising background, and the fact that here's what I do. You'll find this very interesting. Here's what I do. The company that I've had the very longest, I started in 2007. We do marketing and advertising. We're a tier 1, tier 3 vendor for manufacturers and their dealer auto manufacturers and their dealer body. They're franchised auto dealers.
Okay.
We do a lot of business with Stellantis, which is now Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Alfa Romeo. We do quite a bit of business with Kia, Hyundai, which are the same company. We do a lot of business with Toyota. We've got several manufacturers and their dealer bodies that we do a lot of work with. And here's what we do. We present offers to their, and I'm not talking about the jicky stuff. I'm talking about, first class stuff. We present offers in the form of media, whether it's digital, print, email. So, digital, we wrap up into all those things, and then we have print, which is mail. And then we can do billboard, we can do television, we do all that, but I sublet some of that to other companies.
Right.
But here's what we do. We present an offer to a customer. That offer, in turn, becomes a lead to that dealer
Okay.
or the manufacturer, who then supplies it to somebody within one of those 2 that gets it to somebody, or they act on it and convince that person to come take a look at the offer in person. And then they hope they can find a parking spot when they get there. And with the chip shortage, they hope they can find a car. They hope they can give them enough money for their trade-in. And they hope they can hook them up with somebody that they have a relationship with, that they trust to buy from. And then hopefully they buy a car.
Okay.
So that's what we do, and we're really good at it. As a matter of fact, there's some people who say we're some of the best. So I thought to myself, heck, if I can do that, I can certainly accomplish those 2 things I was just telling you. Tell people that I'm running, why I'm doing it, if I'm qualified, and then convince them how to write a name in.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, the numbers that we're seeing, and the numbers that I'm seeing from social media, the numbers I'm seeing from what I know I'm doing on legacy media, which here is important. You have a segment of people here. We got probably 60+% of the people that are either, retired, over 65, or disabled, and legacy media is a big part of their life, right?
Sure.
So legacy media has been huge. I've been pounding it. The first thing I did, I'll tell you something funny. The first thing I did when I decided to do this, the night before I made my announcement, I went to the local paper. And I said, I want to talk. I've really never even been in the place. I've met everybody there, and they're really fantastic people. But golly, how important a local paper is to a community like this, right?
Sure.
And we've got a good one. We do. So I walked in there, and I wanted to talk to, a sales rep, and I happened to, gentleman I know, Chris Edwards, was in there, and I apologize, I left my computer on.
That's fine.
And I said, guys, I want to roadblock my opponent. What do you mean? They'd never heard that term. I said, I want to buy everything that I know he's going to want to buy when he finds out I'm running. And, here's what I want. Do. That's what I want. They're like, wow. So now, I said, do me a favor. I'm announcing tonight. Don't tell us all.
Yeah.
And I'll do this, and I'll do this until the election. And I will say this. about 2-3 weeks later, I felt kind of bad, and I said,
That's aggressive.
that was a little aggressive, and I thought
You're talking my language, because I don't believe in going into any level of competition.
I play to win.
Without aggression.
I play to win.
Agreed.
It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's in business,
Agreed.
whether it's in sports,
Yes.
racing. I mean,
It does not matter.
You look at the pictures on the wall. I mean, I've been involved in all that stuff.
Sure.
And when I play to win.
Yeah.
And I do win. And but I thought after a few weeks, I thought that's pretty ugly, so I'll give up that little. But I kept the ones on top, and I gave up the ones on the bottom. And I said, I'll just let him have that. And then lo and behold, you're not going to believe this, but this is true. When I tell you this, you're going to laugh, but I'm telling you this stuff happened. So the first week I'm advertising, this guy whose wife works at the sheriff's department, and they're all supporting the candidate, and I get that. But this guy walks in and threatens to sue the local paper because he can't call himself a Republican. We have a Republican nominee.
Yeah.
Well, this guy I'm running against has not been a Republican all his life. He was a Democrat in 2006 when he ran for JP.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them who jump ship.
And they're calling me a rhino. They don't know what the word rhino means, which is Republican in name only, which means you shift to get up. I'm not the rhino. I've been a Republican my whole life. But let me tell you what they do. They threaten to sue the paper for allowing them to run an ad calling myself a Republican. They don't know enough about the Republican Party to understand that when I voted in the primary as a Republican, I can't call myself anything else but a Republican.
Right.
I couldn't be a libertarian. I couldn't be an independent. I have to run as a Republican. So everything I do is write in Neil Alderman, Republican.
Yeah.
And I am a Republican. I can't give up what I am.
Sure.
And so then, I kid you not, it was not, I don't know, they just did this forum. And I was so excited I wanted to be there.
Yeah, you're talking about at the booster.
Oh man, yeah, they did it right. Let me tell you something, it was first class. And the Wednesday before this forum, a anonymous citizen put an advertisement in the paper. And this citizen is mad because I jumped in, and this citizen is mad because Melissa Riley, who lost by 36 votes, is supporting me. And there's some black helicopter conspiracy, and they're talking about how we concluded, which is really colluded,
sure,
to do this, and that Melissa's the first loser, and she supported. And I'm thinking, think about this for a second. You have a lady but it was a tie. When you have a county that votes and you lose by 36, I'm sorry, that's a tie. But that meant she had half the votes, right? And there was another gentleman that was running also prior to that. So I'm thinking,
right,
they just basically cost themselves half the votes by doing that, by calling Melissa Riley a loser. I'm going to tell you something. Melissa Riley is one of the sharpest women I know. She's a class act. She is no loser. And because she supported me, they're attacking me, but attacking her. That's what upset me. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever you want to me. They're attacking my character left and right. It's really weird because it's just like the far left does. It's
Sure.
the weirdest thing. I'm running against a Republican that's acting like the far left. I feel like every day I'm waking up watching MSNBC.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And you gotta let me finish this because you're gonna love this. So I know this is not the way you're supposed to do most podcasts, but I'm running a little long on this. But this, and we have a lot of podcasts other people do right here. So at any rate, they had that forum that night. And I had asked Melissa because I couldn't be there. My wife was going to be in Austin receiving an award, and it was very prestigious. She's one of the top 20 teachers out of 320,000. I'm going to be there. And it just, nothing worked out. We couldn't even live video because the ceremonies that night were at the exact same time, and it just wouldn't work. But Melissa Riley read a statement. I did not know she was going to have her own statement after the fact.
Right.
And as it turns out, the gentleman that wrote that ad was in the audience. And she went off, and of course, tempers. And at the end, my secretary is having to calm everybody down because she was there. She sets up a lunch date with this guy for me because he's mad because I'm not there and wants to know why he can't talk to me. And she goes, "Relax, he'll talk to anybody."
Yeah.
Guess what I did at 11:30 yesterday?
What?
I had lunch with him, and guess what? He voted for me today.
Interesting.
Found out that whole deal was nothing like what it went down.
It's amazing to me, and I think this is the nature of small communities, but it seems as though that there are narratives that get started, and then it's like, hey, instead of the fact checking, if you want to call it fact checking,
real fact checking,
real fact checking, instead of doing a little bit of research, let's run with this narrative about this guy, and then let's, it's kind of like I heard a friend of mine say one time. He said, don't you think that when they was going to kill Jesus, that somebody walked up and said, hey man, he was just feeding everybody just a few days ago and healing these guys, and then somebody goes, hey, yeah, but we've got this cross cut out, and we gathered up these nails, we might as well go ahead and kill him. This type of thing. And I think that's what happens in these small communities.
And I had, I believe I had a conversation with a gentleman. That same gentleman I had lunch with today called me a minute ago, and I kid you not, what you just said is almost exactly what. And this is a 90-year-old man.
Yeah. Smart,
2 bachelors. He's a ship's captain.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Had a great conversation with him, but we had that exact same conversation. That was really interesting.
I think it would behoove all of us in these small communities to not just eat everything on the plate that's handed out in front of us.
Wise words, sir.
Yeah.
Wise words.
I think that would help. I think that would help these processes because, a lot of people want to forget or ignore that we're all in the same boat. We're all on the same team. We're all citizens of these communities. And everyone has their own motives and agendas. I get that. But at the end of the day, this may be a naive statement, but the hope is that we have something to leave behind for the next generation. That's the hope. We're all going to die.
That's right.
And so whatever we leave for the next generation is the most paramount thing now.
Your legacy.
That's exactly right.
That's all we have.
Yeah, that's all you got. So, okay. So there's some people who would say, why did you wait until two months beforehand?
I just told you.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, you've been here since when?
2012.
So how did you feel like Blanchett was doing his job?
Okay. That's another great question. John Blanchett is a good friend of mine. I've known him since I was 17 years old.
Okay.
He's the most honest man I know. He is a man of great integrity. He does not know how to lie. And if he were sitting here right now, and I just had a conversation with him yesterday, I wanted to say hello to him. There's nothing I would say I wouldn't say in front of him.
Sure.
He is not as firm as I am with regards to, you're not going to run roughshod over me.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
And I think he did, and I've even told him this, he let things kind of get out of control. And as a matter of fact, I had several conversations with him about it when all this started happening about 3 years ago. I said, if you don't talk about it now, it's going to get out of control. Sure enough, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
But he called me in November of last year, and I was out of town. And he said, just wanted you to know I am not going to be seeking re-election. I'm thinking, what? I was blown away, and something inside me jumped and said, you need to step up. It's time. Because I talk about that all the time. Stop talking and do something, right?
Yeah.
Put up or shut up.
Yeah.
I tell people that, and then here I was.
It's kind of like a life motto. It seems like for some of us.
And here I was. This voice inside me. By the way, it wasn't Satan. That. And I've said this to many people.
Well, we'll ask you after you win. So.
It could be to some people. That wasn't Satan. So I had a voice inside me saying, "It's time." And I was busy, and I had things going on, coming out of COVID. My industry had been shut down, and I'm thinking, no, this isn't the time. And Melissa Riley had already thrown her name in the hat, and she's a very strong lady, of great integrity, and we needed somebody with a lot of backbone. And Melissa actually came to my home several months later,
right? And
came to my home, knocked on my door. Actually rang my gate code out there.
Right.
Came inside and said, I want to ask you for your vote. And I said, you need to sell me. And she sat right there on that couch, and I was sitting where you are. And we talked, and I thought, This is what we need. We need somebody with some backbone, and we need somebody with some vision. And because what we've been doing has not been working.
Sure.
And the other, there was that time there were 4 people in the hunt. There's Wes Whitman, there's a gentleman by the name of Robert Shaw, who's a friend of mine. I call him Cooter. Everybody does. And then there was Milton Powers. And I decided that I was going to support her, but I said, would you do me? And no, she said this. She says, well, how about your wife? And I said, I'm sure she'll support you too. She goes, I want to talk to your wife. I'm like, wow, okay. She comes back over. Now we're inside over there. Next day when she comes over, she's sitting on the couch. Sherry's on the couch, and she talks about the same thing. Sherry asked her a bunch of questions. And after they left, my wife turned around. She's about 5'4", 120 pounds soaking wet. She put her finger in my chest and she said, that's the kind of person we need running this county. And I let Melissa Riley put a sign out on my door, or on my yard. That was the first time I ever let anybody put a political sign on my yard. I supported her and challenged her quite a bit, by the way, too. Melissa was a little unfamiliar with the way algorithms work and things, and there was a lot of times when I was challenging a lot of the folks at the meet and greets, I was wanting to get them to talk. And it was amazing. We go to the meet and greets and all they want to do is talk about themselves and how long they've been here forever. Meemaw, Pawpaw, and Mama, them and all been here forever. Vote for me. And I'm like, guys, I've got a handle on the pulse of what people in Tyler County want. They want change. They need to hear you talk about progress, not progressive, progress.
Right.
And I was trying to get them to do that. Well, here we go. We ended up with Melissa beat everybody, and then they had a runoff between Milton and Melissa. And when Melissa lost by 36 votes, I was stunned. But I will tell you this: I kept telling Sherry, my wife, during that process before the runoff, I said, I'm afraid Melissa's letting this slip away. No, she's not. There's signs everywhere. I said, I don't care. Signs don't vote.
It's not about signs. It's about vision.
That's right. And I said, she's been radio silence. And I said, I'm worried.
Yeah.
I would have been pounding it. My foot would have
Well,
been.
You have been. I mean, to be honest with you, you've been, it kind of feels like and I don't mean this in any derogatory way, but it feels like, you've had city hall meetings or I wouldn't say city hall
meetings,
town hall type meetings and gatherings. I mean, it's like after Trump won, it's like he kept rolling. He just kept having to meet.
Well, here's the deal. It's not about me.
Sure.
This is not about me.
It's about the people.
This is about the people. And let me tell you. Let me just tell you. I'm gonna tell you one that you'll love this. If I were to give you the word safety and say, if I give you the word safety, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Safety. I would think family for me.
Okay.
Safety of my family.
Okay. I could say that to somebody over here and they'd say, well, it's that thing on the by side of the trigger,
Sure.
I could say that to another person over here and they'd say it's about more police. Right. You say that to me, it's about having 25 security cameras here on my property instead of 18.
Right.
All right. I was at a gathering one night, and this is why you have to do this. And we were talking about things like this. And this gentleman said, well, safety to me, he asked me a question about safety, and then I started talking. I said, well, safety to me doesn't mean that. It means having a fire hydrant down my road to where if my house catches on fire like my neighbor did, they can put the fire out. That's right. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is why this is so important. So let me tell you why I'm bringing this particular instance up. So I said, man, I want everybody in this room to understand what just happened. That is why it's so important to have a dialogue instead of a monologue. We absolutely have to communicate with one another because what he just said is so important, because I'm going to tell you, just like I feel just the way he does. My homeowner's insurance is significantly higher because there are no fire hydrants around.
Right. Significantly higher.
I said, can you imagine what would happen if we had 10% more of the homes around here that were closer to fire hydrants or something along those lines? That money that would be saved just on insurance premiums, guess where it goes? Right back into the economy. Yeah. Right back, it gets spent here.
Sure.
Or invested here, something. And I said, wouldn't that be amazing? And I made a joke, because I say this all the time. we got those $4.2 million in ARPA funds. Wouldn't it have been nice if we'd spent a little bit of that money on infrastructure?
Yeah.
Saturday, I had the biggest town hall meet and greet I've ever had. We had 85 people show up.
Sure.
That's not including the people I'm talking about 85 people came to listen and talk.
Right.
And I sat down on a chair and just said, I'm interviewing for a job. Who's got the first question? And it was amazing the questions I got. Before that afternoon at 8:30 that morning, the lady that was putting that program on, someone rolled up in her driveway and said, you need to cancel this event. This guy's an idiot, doesn't know what he's doing. He's going around telling everybody that we're going to put all these fire hydrants in. What? And I didn't even comment. I said, you've got to be kidding me. She goes, no. He said, he's a local idiot. We know who he is. He didn't know what he's talking about. And I said, I've never said that. I don't know where that came from. And it took me a few minutes to figure it out. As a matter of fact, I had to call somebody. And I said, have I ever said anything about that? Because I don't go to these things with scripts.
Right.
Believe it or not, I do. And my wife wants me to read them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not that way. I don't roll that way.
Sure.
And this particular person said, you know what? I remember it was at Dan B. You said something about, or somewhere. It said, you said something about fire hydrants. You need to go back and look. And I did. And he was right. But it had nothing to do with me saying we're going to put fire hydrants everywhere.
Right.
It's just, I don't look for excuses. Don't tell me no. Don't tell me can't.
Right.
We can.
Yeah.
We can do things.
Yeah.
And, but at any rate, it is so important to hear these people, because when you run for the chief elected official, there's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to do policy-wise. I can put stuff on an agenda.
Yeah.
But I've got to work with the folks around me. I know they don't like me.
Right. I
know they don't. But I respect the position they hold.
Sure.
And I would trust they would respect the position that I hold if this county sees fit to elect me. However, I am also not naive enough, I know for the first 2 years I'm going to be pulling knives out of my bag. No doubt in my mind. But I'll tell you what, I can handle that.
Okay. So, if there is, if and when you do win, how does, because some people would look at you, personality type, kind of the cloth you're cut from, in the sense that it's in the business sense of things. The aggressive side, self-assured. Some people are very intimidated by that element. My question would be, because I mean, obviously you're going from Jacques Blanchett to your throttle, which is like, and I don't mean this derogatory, but this is like going from neutral to Can
I give you a better example?
Okay, sure.
Ford Pinto to a Ferrari.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna tell you something. I am not Jacques Blanchett.
Yeah.
But he is a dear friend of mine. But I'm telling you right now, I am about
go. My question is, with that temperament, how do you mitigate peace amongst the leadership, and as well as direction? Because you made the statement there just a second ago about pulling knives out of your back, and the first thought I had was it's going to seem more like one cow pulling a plow, about 8 or 10 plows. And so either way, however you want to look at it, the first couple of years are going to be
tough,
potentially tough. But how do you mitigate the peace and vision and direction and get everyone on board?
Okay, that is a great question. That is a question that has not been asked yet, but I've had this conversation with several people. It all has to be about the county, right?
Sure.
And that is the reason why we are in the problem that we have right now.
Right.
Because it hasn't been. Let me give you an example. You mentioned a minute ago about legacy. Legacy, let's just call future for a minute. Okay? We think nothing of our kids here. Nothing. We have issues with crime. And the local kingmaker here, everybody told me I needed to go talk to, says, you got to talk about crime. Well, guys, we can talk about crime all you want. Crime's not the problem. What's causing the crime is the problem.
Okay.
It's like, you've got a disease. You're sick. What's causing it? Let's examine the disease. The problem is we have not invested anything into the people. And what I mean by that is our legacy, our future, which are our kids. Nothing.
Okay.
We don't do anything. So I'm hoping that with the statement that is made that the people are so fed up with the status quo and the quid pro quo that they are so fed up that not only do they elect me, but I'm a write-in. And then all of a sudden, maybe, what does every politician want? Every politician, what do they want? Another term, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm hoping we have one new commissioner coming in. His name is Doug Hughes. I've had numerous conversations with him. He will be our new Precinct 2 commissioner. He understands, he gets it. We have had several conversations that went just like this. I don't need somebody that can drive a maintainer, I need somebody that can drive an economy. I think he understands that. If he does, great, we're going to be able to work together, and I think we will. We have another gentleman, this Precinct 1, and I'm not going to give names, but a Precinct 1 commissioner, who I know is mad at me because I'm the one that was really harping on the whole ARPA thing. It was the optics of it, just bad. And he was the only commissioner that voted nay on the last 2 tax base increases. The only one. Okay. He's obviously listening to his constituents. We have 2 other commissioners. One of them right now is he is running unopposed, but there's a write-in. And the lady, her name is Amanda Hastings. She is running. Amanda Hastings had the brightest comment I have ever heard from anyone running for commissioner. She told everybody, hey, they asked her about, roads. Because, we hear the word commissioner, and for some reason we think it's roads. Your commissioners are your driving force of economic development in your county.
Yeah.
That's it. And she said this. She said, I know how to run a maintainer. I know how to build roads. But don't hire me for that. I'm going to hire the best guy I know for that. I want to build an economy. Yeah. And I was like, she has my vote. Yeah. I'll write her in. So with that being said, even if that doesn't happen, and I hope it does, because I think she's a smart lady.
Right.
Do you know when the last time, other than the last commissioner's court, the last time Jock Blanchett was voted, actually had to vote, was November 2 years ago, and they were talking about Christmas lights at the courthouse.
Okay.
So that tells me volume. That speaks volumes to me. But he actually had voted not too long ago. He actually voted. Actually, the last commissioner's court. So I guess I'm saying this. I recognize the issues that we have. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But time, you're going to have it. And that's another reason why I jumped in now. Because when those interstates come through, and there's no reason for people to exit, it's too late to start thinking about building something then. Yeah. You're going to drive and blow away.
Yeah.
So I jumped in now. And I really do think that we'll have some folks there that can think about the future instead of what's gone on in the past.
So I've listened to you on a couple of occasions online, talking about industry, talking about our kids, talking about legacy, talking about doing more things for our kids. Some people would challenge, or maybe the kickback might be that these cities need to get a little bit more active in some of their management of what to do for kids. I know Jasper's undergoing a couple of new projects right now, specific for young people, and that's less of a county issue, more of a city issue. Obviously, there's some balancing between the two, right? But to me, I guess the question is, at what point does it become more a county concern as opposed to a city concern?
That's a great question too. I think probably let me take just a step back and I'll explain what I meant earlier. I was kind of going there and we kind of got sidetracked. I chase rabbits sometimes. Back in May, I started working with, had the idea of bringing an insurance adjusting school to Tyler County.
Okay.
And my motives, and there's been some talk on social media about this from some brainless people that you know that they may be great administrators of the school but know nothing about economics. Okay. I was doing that as a private citizen through one of my companies, using one of the colleges as a conduit, so that we could take advantage of a lot of the opportunities colleges have to get people grants, loans, student aid, GI Bill, Hazelwood. You know, I can go on and on. But we don't have enough insurance adjusters. And if you don't believe me, let's have a catastrophe happen and see how long it takes for you to get an adjuster out.
Yeah.
I have my sons are insurance. Two of my sons are insurance adjusters. As a matter of fact, they are in Florida right now, and it's nothing for them to make loads of money in 2 or 3 months and then go home. And where are they going to bring that money? Bring it right here, right?
Sure.
Remember what I was talking about a minute ago about kids not having opportunities. I'm not necessarily talking about children. I'm talking about young men and women, and I do think I use that phrase, young men and women. I want to see more vocational, more skills, higher education. If we're known for nothing but a place where people can better themselves,
right,
but those people are coming here to do it,
right,
I'm good, and I'll explain. We have a highway that is going to connect Fort Hood to Fort Polk. Believe it or not, most of the folks that are exiting the military need a job.
Sure.
And not all of them are going to go to college. They can use that money in that GI Bill and Hazelwood for the spouses. They can use that to better themselves and with a trade, with a skill.
Yeah.
One of my sons had exited the ETS. He went through a millwright course. My wife's father was a national president of the millwrights. Okay. So he pushed that, and he's like, okay, I'll do that. Imagine what we would have here in Tyler County if we had 3 or 4 vocational type schools, and those soldiers that are ETSing, not only is it paid for with GI Bill, but they get what's called basic housing allowance.
Right.
That means they're going to be able to come here and stay and go to school.
Yeah.
If you've got 15, 20 of those here all the time, what's the first thing that's going to pop up? A hotel.
Yeah.
You know, I heard one of the commissioners tell me one time, we'll give all kind of tax abatement. We can't get a hotel here. I'm thinking,
you've got no draw for the hotel.
No.
Yeah.
That's why Chick-fil-A's not coming. That's why Taco Bell's coming. They're not coming because there's no money. We can't keep a Dairy Queen here.
Yeah.
And you think Holiday Inn Express is going to build here? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So you got to have people coming here. That's why I keep telling people, we got to have people to exit. And if we're known for nothing more than a mecca for people bettering themselves,
sure,
I'm good with it. I'm going to tell you something. What do you think pays the most right now? A degree in Shakespearean literature or a great welder? I'll put my money on the welder any day.
Sure.
Truck driving school. I think that's, by the way, I think that's something that's we'll have a CDL Class A. Get a Class A. Guess what? You can drive anything, right?
Yeah.
Have that. But I mean, there's several other things that have been working on too. I've been working on 3 specifically. The insurance adjusting school, we're hoping we're going to have our first semester in the spring. And that's going to be really neat because young men and women here can get a skill that can pay them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they might be gone on a deployment to a storm for a couple months, but they come back and they're going to bring a bunch of money with them.
So let's touch in on that just for a second. How would something like that work? Because say I'm looking to become an insurance adjuster. How would that work with what you guys are doing?
Okay.
And this is kind of segueing off a little bit of the race.
It's okay.
But still, it's talking about what the vision of what you're talking about.
We're building.
Yes.
So it is a long story of why I wanted to do that. First of all, I have an insurance adjusting firm.
Okay.
And I had a conversation with a gentleman. I like to hire veterans, and let me tell you why. One of my kids went to a bad a devastating hurricane hit the East Coast, and he was out there working it. And he said, we had so many of these guys out there that are complaining because there's no internet, they can't find a hotel, and they're more worried about, playing a video game at night than they are. And he said, man, I've slept in holes before. They dig holes to keep from small arms fire from killing them while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
So these military, these veterans who have been in, especially combat deployments, which my boys have been on, man, they are sleeping in their car is no big deal.
Correct.
Okay, so I thought, man, so I went up in Austin in April and May. I spent a lot of time up in Austin working with Texas Workforce and Veterans Administration, trying to figure out a way to get this training to where we could get some additional benefits for, they could go through this training and become insurance adjusters. The problem with our government, problem with any government, they're archaic and they're bureaucratic, and you kind of hit on that a minute ago, just from business and bureaucrat, right? And this is where I had a problem, because I'm up there talking to veterans and they're like, well, yeah, we can do this, but we're not going to be able to do it online. You need a brick and mortar. And I'm thinking, you idiots. Oh, excuse me. Has COVID not taught you anything?
Yeah.
Has it? I mean, we were teaching kids online. And you're telling me now, I can put these veterans to work right now, and you're telling me we got to have a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So I thought, no big deal. I'll go get with a college somewhere that wants to make a little money, and and this is my private company, by the way.
Right.
There's some people out there online saying, well, that county, you can't do that. This had nothing to do with the county. I just wanted to put it here. It's either going to go in Waco or Tyler County.
Right.
Why in the heck don't I want to put it where I live?
Yeah.
So it just made perfect sense. So we have this person-to-person training. We've got the facility right here in Tyler County to do it. We have a local college that is willing to do it. As a matter of fact, I hired a grant administrator about 2 weeks ago because we ran into a couple little hiccups with some things. We're wanting to dot all the I's and T's. We're not wanting to miss anything. If there's something, we want these people to be able to qualify for it.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I got off the phone with one of the local Texas Workforce directors. I had a phone call with him yesterday, and what that deal's gonna happen. We're gonna get it done, and when it happens, we'll have a one-on-one. We'll have a brick and mortar. We'll have a classroom setting.
Yeah.
This will be a 3-4 month school. When they're done, we're even gonna
rock and roll.
They're gonna learn how to run their own business. They can be a daily claims. They can work daily claims or cat claims, whatever.
Yeah.
It is a real job.
And for people who have no clue, about the monies that can be made insurance adjusting,
It's insane.
it's insane.
Yes.
It really is insane. And so
I'm not bragging, but I had one of my kids that made $60,000 in 90 days.
That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon. So
And guess where they're going to be bringing that money?
right here.
Right here.
Yeah. See, it's that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Now, can I finish?
Yeah.
Sitting right there was a gentleman who's my insurance agent, who does all my insurance, and I was telling him about wanting to get these veterans.
Yeah.
And that's why we were doing all that. And he said, well, there's a lot of folks here in right here in Tyler County that would love to have that opportunity. And I got to thinking about it, and I said, man, I've been looking at this wrong. Not only do I want veterans and law enforcement doing this because they know how to dot the I's and cross the T's, but a country boy can survive. Will.
Yeah.
And I said, man,
yeah.
So if you want to know what really got everything. And don't get me wrong, I've got a company that can use these adjusters.
Sure.
But for the most part, this is just a tremendous opportunity for them. So there's something else I'm working on too that actually will be the largest thing that I've ever done in my life. And I got a guy that I've worked with for years and years that I love. He's like a brother to me. I hired him as a consultant. He lives down in the Houston area. He's the dean of a particular branch of a college. And I'm wanting to bring something to Tyler County, and I had him do a study for me to find out if it was viable. And it is not just viable, but it's something that after the study was done, that I got together with a couple different folks, and they said if we don't do it here in Tyler County, they're going to do it in Polk County. So and I'll talk to you about that after we turn the podcast off, because there's some things where there's some NDAs involved in things right now that I can't discuss. But again, I was working on these sort of things long before I decided to jump in for the job. But it's just about, if nobody else was going to have some vision and do something, I wanted to at least do something.
Put it all out on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if just real quickly, say there's 3 main bullet points that you want to throw out about who you are, your vision, direction, those types of things, to people who are just now getting introduced to you.
Okay. What
would they be?
Well, I also understand that probably the majority of the people that are watching this probably not going to vote for me anyway. I'm doing this just because hopefully there's a few that will. Maybe we can. I'm talking about right this second. Right. I mean, how many people do you think we're watching right now?
We're actually not doing this live.
So we're recording this. So so I'll take this and I'll probably put it on my side. If you put it on my side, if you don't mind,
okay.
I'll throw it on a couple more.
Sure.
So I'm going to talk directly, if it's okay with you, to the people that I think are going to be voting for me.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Nobody owns me.
Okay.
I don't need a job. I have plenty of jobs. I will be focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is, how do we grow this economy? How do we get people to exit when those roads are completed? Because they're happening whether we like it or not.
Okay.
We can complain about it, or we can embrace it and realize we're fixing to get a lot of traffic going by our way. Let's figure out a way to get them to exit and spend their money here.
That's right.
Okay. Number 2. I am not about cliques, clans, and clubs. I've been using that slogan quite a bit, or that phrase quite a bit. Let me explain what I mean. It seems if you're not part of a particular family or clique or clan, that you're just out of the loop. And it seems like these people are always wanting to be in the graces of these cliques, clans, and clubs. I'm not about that. I believe in the same opportunity for everybody. Some people are going to have greater success. I get it. Some people have more money. I get it. But I think everybody shares, and everybody needs to at least feel that they can participate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And most people don't.
Nope. And I know it's that way in Jasper. I know it's that way in Newton. I know it's that way in Tyler County. It's very clannish, very cliquish. And I want everybody to know I'm not part of those cliques, clans, or clubs. I'm not.
Okay.
I had I was a guy, trying to keep the slaughterhouse out of here. And I'll tell you what, that slaughterhouse came real close to going to Newton too, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And that was not something we needed in this area. I went through that. I know what it brought, and I made a lot of enemies. I shouldn't have. I thank God that I saw what happened in Missouri County, that I was able to get that wisdom. Wisdom's not something that you have, it's something you have to ask for.
Okay.
And I believe that God gave me that wisdom, so it was going to happen. 3. There's things that we can correct and curtail if we start focusing on the things that matter most. I think something you said a minute ago about, how do you differentiate between what cities can do versus what counties can do? We're gonna talk about the kids for a minute again, about investing in ourselves, which is actually investing in our kids. We're all gonna die. Let's be honest.
Sure.
All we have to leave is our legacy, right? And we're always complaining about our kids don't have anything to do and they leave and don't come back. I'm sick of hearing that, because I don't care where you live, your kids are gonna leave. That's a rite of passage.
Right.
They want to leave. They want
Right.
to stretch their legs. They want to go. What we want is we want them to come back eventually.
Sure.
Like I came back to East Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I went out and got an education in the world, learned how to run a business, learned how to work financial statements, and guess what? I come back and this place is in frazzles, and maybe I can fix it. Okay.
Right.
So instead of having this mindset of we're just going to keep everybody here, no, you're never going to do that. But we want them to come back. So if we want them to come back, we dadgum sure should be able to keep a Dairy Queen around. Would you agree? So what we have to do is we have to figure out a way And I've got some ideas about how to do that, and maybe we can have another podcast one time when we can talk for an hour about that. But investing in ourselves means investing in the most important thing, which are our kids. Do you have kids?
I do.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. The biggest investment you'll ever make in your life is in your kids.
Sure.
And the neat thing about that is wherever you're living, that investment not only is going to your kids, but it goes in the economy.
Right.
So here's what I want. This place is going to grow whether you like it or not. God's not making any more land. So I tell everybody it's like a little stream. Right now it's real small. We can move some rocks around, get one of those dozer operators, go out there and move this thing. We can move this thing, we make that stream go wherever we want. But when it becomes a river, it's too late.
Yeah.
So the kind of people, if we're going to grow, the kind of people I want to attract are the people that are going to invest the most in this economy. And that's the people that are going to invest in their kids.
Yeah.
And when that happens, we will start getting those things that everybody wants.
Gotcha.
There is nobody that's going to come here. Well, yeah, there are. There are people, I want to put a Taco Bell and we want to do that. You're not. It's not happening unless there's dollars to support it.
Sure.
Okay, so I guess if I had to wrap it up into three things, did I do that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the three most important things to me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's others. And I'm having events on a regular basis. I've got two more this week. I've got one tonight.
So where is that one at?
The one tonight is in Wildwood at the Lodge.
Okay.
It'll be from 6 to 8. Food, refreshments. I'm going to just sit down and I'll do the same thing that I did at Black Creek last Saturday. I'll just say, hey, I'm interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Let's go.
I'm doing another one, and this is going to be a big one. We have a really beautiful place downtown Woodville called the Emporium.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been there?
I have not.
It is incredible. We are having a deal from 12 to 3 on Saturday. We're going to serve lunch. There's going to be a lot of people there. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to do the same thing there.
Now, if people want to follow you,
Yes.
how do they do that?
Thank you. I forget to say that all the time. There's three things I want to tell them. First of all, I do have a website.
Okay.
It went active the night I gave my announcement. It's called aldermanforjudge.com. ALDERMAN, aldermanforjudge.com, FOR, judge.com. You can also donate there. And by the way, yes, I own companies, but my companies can't. I dot my I's and cross my T's. Okay,
Sure.
I'm not taking any cash donations. I'm not accepting any in-kind donations. I know I'm going to get audited because I know that I know how people are around here. So when I tell you my I's are dotted, T's are crossed, they are. But if you'd like to donate there, you can donate to my campaign by hitting the red donate button, and it would be much, much appreciated. This campaign is being funded out of my pocket.
Okay.
And those funds are limited. I have a social media page. It's called Neil Alderman for Tyler County Judge.
Okay.
Neil, Neil, Neil Alderman for Tyler County Judge. I'll tell you that I am blown away. I've had that site for less than 2 months, and the last 28 days had like 37,000 engagements. And
Sure.
by the way, it's geofenced just to Tyler County. I mean, I've got a little bit of bleed by. There's like 8 or 9 folks from Jasper, 6 or 7 in Alvin, and because I've lived. But I'm telling you, it's right here in Tyler County, and it is. I had one video that had 10,500 views.
So if they're wanting to find out a little bit more, kind of what you're talking about, they can come to the events that you guys are doing. They can also access your materials and your videos and things like that
On social media.
On social media. Okay. Yesterday started early voting.
Yes, huge.
And from what I understood, it's a pretty good turnout.
It was over double what they normally see on the first day.
Over double.
It was
I think that's kind of a little bit of an indicator of what you were talking about earlier about everything shifting red,
Okay.
or a lot of things shifting.
All right. I will tell you this. Just like today, there's business that I have to. I'm not judge yet. I can't shut my business down.
Sure.
But when I become judge, there will be a transition in my businesses, and there will be, and there will be other people running my business, and that's fine. And I don't mean, this is not meant to come around the wrong way. I just hear me out when I say this, and I'm talking to the folks out there. I'm not doing this to make $1. Okay, I can assure you, it's going to cost me probably more than I'm going to make when I have other people. I mean, I've been running these companies since 2007. I can't replace me with one person.
Okay? Right.
So that's something, that transition will happen when I become judge. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Help me here.
So I was basically referring to the transition with the numbers going out to vote,
If
shifting red.
I want to make sure that, how do I say this? I don't want to sound like I'm being boastful about anything. And please don't take this the wrong way. I have engaged the electorate. That is obvious by what happened yesterday.
Right.
I think I know how to say this where it's not going to sound like I can't tell you how those people were voting.
Right.
That is a right that we have as Americans, that we get to cast that vote. Nobody can.
Yeah.
Those
Tamper with it.
exactly.
Hopefully.
But to have the lines that I saw yesterday,
Mm-hmm. You saw friendlies in line.
I'm going to just say this: we've engaged the electorate. We did exactly what I intended to do on August the 22nd, when I told everyone, win or lose, when this is over, you have my word, I will have given it 100%, and I will tell you that's about all I'm getting is about 4 hours of sleep a day. That's kind of what I'm having to do, and it's grueling. I thought June and July were the roughest months of my life until I decided to do this, and this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I saw people yesterday. It was really interesting. They'd come by and do this. They'd come by and do this. They'd wink at me, and I'd have people blowing me kisses. And I thought that was interesting. Don't laugh. I told my wife that last night. I said, "You're not believing. I had so many people blow me kisses. That was a lot." But anyway, I didn't get there until after lunch. Just like today, I was planning on getting there after lunch today, and then you showed up late. But no offense. I can't tell you how they're voting. I don't know. All I know is we've engaged the electorate.
Sure.
And like I said, win or lose, I'm telling you, the night of November 8th, and I decided to have a watch party. I wasn't going to have one. Everybody's like, you have to.
That's part of
it is. And I decided I'm going to have it at the Emporium on November 8th.
There you go.
And it's going to be, we'll do it right. I mean,
very cool.
We'll do it right. But I don't want to give I don't want to tell you that I feel like I'm doing well, because I'm telling you, I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't won yet.
No.
It's all vision.
Understand, when I say engage the electorate, this is why I was very cautious about what I was saying a minute ago, and I'd kind of lost my train of thought. This could have engaged Milton's electorate.
100%.
So
an engaged electorate just means there's people out there, more people out there voting.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And I mean, in the long run, it is good to have an engaged electorate,
Yes.
or you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Instead of having apathetic.
Oh.
Because the apathy's got us where we're at.
Yep.
I'm talking about nationwide.
Oh,
Apathy's got us where we're at.
Couldn't agree with you.
I still don't see how Biden actually beat Obama's numbers, but that's just me. But neither here nor there.
Trump helped him.
Well, somebody helped him.
Yeah, and I'm not a black helicopter conspiracy theorist. I'm just not. Do I believe there were some shenanigans?
I think there's shenanigans all around the horn.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's shenanigans and everything. And if you ever want to have a podcast on I saw some things that were very interesting. I do quite a bit of mail for people, and I saw some of the unsolicited ballots that were mailed out.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now, what I saw could have easily been duplicated.
Yeah.
And that scared me to death.
Yeah.
And because, but that's
a different conversation. But at the same time, so yesterday started the early voting, and November 8th, you guys will be down at the Emporium. And if people if they want to follow and check you out, they can go to your social medias, your website. and say that there's say if somebody's got a question, that you have a spot on your website where they can shoot you a question.
Actually,
social media.
Actually, I'll tell you what. There is. If you will go to Neil Alderman for Tyler County Judge on Facebook,
Okay.
you will see that we have quite a bit of followers. And you understand there's a lot of folks that are not going to follow you or like you because they want to be anonymous. That's why I mentioned to you about the engagements and
Right.
because that tells me I've got a tremendous following. They're just not willing to unmask themselves.
Right.
And I understand that could be from the other side as well.
Yeah.
Also, but if you go there and in any of this, it'll say message Neil on most of those posts. If you want to message me,
Yeah.
I always get back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes me a little while.
Yeah.
They're not robo responders.
Right.
I will message you back. You will hear from me, and I'd love to talk with you. I have a couple of people that have put really long posts on there that want to get into some sort of long conversation. I got news for you. I'll shoot you an email or I'll shoot you a message and say, hey, send me your number and I'll call you. But I can't get into a, DETCOG's not doing us a good job and they're not doing this and
Yeah.
can't go there right now. I don't have time on social
Yeah, you
media
still have to
do
get
that.
the job.
Yeah.
And you still have jobs.
I have to win first.
Right.
So,
Yes, that's the point.
period.
So, is there any last statement you'd like to throw out there to the people before we wrap up?
Probably this. I do not dislike anyone. I don't have anything personally against the Democrat or the Republican nominee. Neither. I don't think the Democrat can win because of his party affiliation. I have been a Republican my entire life. I have never switched parties. I never, ever was aligned with the Democrat Party. Never. They had things they did that I could not spiritually or politically align myself with. I've always been Republican. I feel that there is no question that I'm the best and most viable candidate for this position because of my experience, both business and the fact that I have been a conservative my entire life. There is an aspect to being a county judge that has some judicial responsibilities with the misdemeanor docket. I am running against someone that is a JP. Make no mistake about it. He will have to learn the same job that I learned.
Sure.
But that's less than 20% of the duties of a county judge. You have an 80% administrative responsibility. And ask yourself, who do you see doing the better job? I don't think there's any question that and this is not me being, I don't mean to sound
Brash, maybe.
braggadocious. I think I am the most qualified candidate for the job.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would appreciate your vote. I'd first appreciate your consideration. Take a look at me. Come to some of the meet and greets that I'm doing. I'm doing one tonight from 6 to 8 in Wildwood at the Lodge. There'll be another one Saturday, and believe it or not, there's more after that. There'll be one Saturday on the 29th, and that will be at the Emporium in Woodville from 12 until 3, and that is on the square downtown. You won't be able to miss it. It'll be the place with all the cars around it from 12 to 3. But anyway, thank you for your time. It was an honor meeting you.
Great to meet you.
And I so thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Very cool. Very cool. Neil Alderman, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. Check us out at Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Look for the gorilla with the red headphones. Tyler County listeners. Here's one option.